Hey, it's Nick Artigo here, talking about principles of alignment, yoga for runners. The way I like to teach alignment in yoga postures is to focus on principles. And one of the main principles is to have your foundation set first. So if we know these principles, we can apply them to every single yoga posture, and we can apply these principles of alignment to any movements or positions we may get into off of the yoga mat. So it's way easier to have a few principles that you apply rather than thinking about memorizing hundreds of different rules for all the different postures, positions, yoga poses, exercises, and lifestyle movements that we do. The principle I want to talk about today is putting the foundation first. Primarily, you want your foundation to be set before you go any further into any position or yoga posture. The foundation in a standing posture is the feet. So to set up the feet properly, it's good to find just the Tadasana, which is mountain pose. And it's called mountain pose not because it's like you're standing on a mountain, but you should be very steady and firm, as if you are a mountain, and someone could climb up on you and you would not move like a mountain. So, we want to get the feet parallel. There's some variations here. The feet can be really close together with the big toes touching, or the feet can be about hips distance apart. By hips distance, we mean the hip joints. The feet are about the distance of the hip joints, not what you perceive to be the width of your hips. So, hip joints distance, stand firm, pick up all the toes. Really, now if you have trouble picking up your toes, that's something to work on, because if you don't have the neural connection to pick up your toes, there's some lack of mind-body connection there that will help you in everything you do if you do connect it. So get to where you can pick up your toes. If you're not good at it, you can pull your toes up with your hands and keep them there. That will teach you to activate those muscles that help you pick up your toes. Spread the toes out. If you have trouble spreading your toes out, try to get the fingers in between the toes. You can place each finger in between each toe, kind of like this, and kind of work it that way, stretching the tissues, the muscles, fascia, everything that keeps the toes close together. The natural state of the human foot is to have the toes spread. The only reason our toes touch each other is primarily because we wear shoes. If you look at indigenous cultures that don't wear shoes, their feet are spread, their toes are spread for greater stability and balance and just overall better movement patterns. So, toes lifted and spread. And then once you lift them and spread them, then place them down. So all the toes are spread, all the toes are down. As much as you can. This is something that you'll work on. That's why they call it yoga practice. So the toes are spread, press down, and then primarily press the big toe down. A lot of the stability comes from the pressing of the big toe down. Big toe is pressed down. You're feeling the big toes, the balls of the feet, the heels. Everything is spread. From there, stand up as tall as you can, thinking about lifting the crown of the head. So when we think about posture, we want to think about lifting the crown of the head, lengthening the spine, not so much about pulling the shoulders back, because that can be accomplished all too often by just overextending the lower spine. That's not what we want to do. We want crown of the head lifted. We want length in the spine. Big toes are pressed down, and then the heels are pressed down. And then take the heels, and although the heels will stay where they are, push the heels toward each other. So the big toes are pressed down, and you're pushing the heels toward each other. When you do that, you should feel some activity, the inner thighs and the glutes. Inner thighs, glutes, the activity in the legs. That's your foundation. You're much more stable now than if you're just kind of like hanging around with everything just inactive. Toes spread, big toe pressed down, heels pressed down, moving the heels toward each other. You'll feel some activity in the inner thighs and glutes. That applies to every single yoga posture. So if we're going into a one-leg posture for one-leg balance, like the tree pose, you'll do that with both legs and then shift into that one leg and feel how much more steady and stable you are rather than just willy-nilly shifting weight in that leg. Another posture would be something like a triangle, or the various warrior poses where your feet are spread. We want that same activity. The toes are spread, the big toe is pressed down, the heels are pressed down, and then we're also taking the heels, the two heels, and pushing them towards each other. Some styles of yoga, like Bikram, they'll actually not use the mat. They'll actually have you on the wet floor because you're sweating your eyes out, basically. And because the floor is slick, it forces you to have this activity so that you don't slip, that your feet don't spread too far. But basically the main principle here is your heels are coming together. When you push your heels toward each other, there's some activity in the glutes and inner thighs that happens. Solidifies your stability and your base. So, feet spread, feet together, one foot. It's all the same foundation and activity. When you're in any kind of seated posture in yoga, when you're in a seated pose, the pelvic floor becomes your foundation. So the pelvic floor is to a seated posture what the feet are to a standing posture. And what you want to do to activate your pelvic floor is think about the way that you would activate muscles if you needed to use the bathroom. Number 1 and 2, if you needed to use the bathroom and you had to hold it, you couldn't go. There was a line. So you're holding it, engaging those muscles. So in a seated posture, what you want to do is be sure that your sits bones, those would be the ischial tuberosities for those of you anatomy nerds out there. Make sure they're kind of in contact with the solid ground. And from there, got the pelvic floor engaged. That's like the foundation of any seated posture. You want to also keep both sit bones down. So if you're going into a rotational pose in yoga, you don't want to pull one of those bones up. You want to keep them down and get that firm foundation. The foundation is more important than trying to go deeper into the pose. A good way to activate the pelvic floor, like I just said, pretend you're going to the bathroom and then inhale and exhale and feel, as you're inhaling deeply, you're going to feel some pressurization down there at the base of your pelvis, as if you're breathing kind of down into that middle part of your body. And that's all part of the deal with yoga postures. So foundation, 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 principle of alignment. You can apply that to every single posture. And in this series, I'm going to show you how to apply these principles of alignment to all the different yoga postures, or a lot of them. Not every. We won't go through every single one. I don't know if I can make that many videos. Anyway, if you've gotten any benefit from this video, then do me a favor, leave a comment below. If you like more content, more stuff that's not available on the blog or the regular YouTube channel, then click the link that's connected to this video. You'll have a chance to sign up for that. Thank you.